leading away from Nibbana. What 5? The hindrance of sensual desire is a maker of blindness, causing lack of vision, causing lack of knowledge, detrimental to wisdom, tending to vexation, leading away from Nibbana. Similarly, the hindrance of ill will, sloth and torpor, restlessness and remorse, doubt. These 5 hindrances are makers of blindness, causing lack of vision, causing lack of knowledge, detrimental to wisdom, tending to vexation, leading away from Nibbana. These 7 factors of enlightenment monks are makers of vision, makers of knowledge, promoting the growth of wisdom, free from vexation, leading towards Nibbana. What 7? The enlightenment factors of recollection, the factor of investigation of Dhamma, the factor of energy, etc. These 7 factors of enlightenment are makers of vision, makers of knowledge, promoting the growth of wisdom, free from vexation, leading towards Nibbana. That's the end of the sutta. So you see, the reason why we are blind, we don't have vision and knowledge, is because of these 5 hindrances. And they lead us away from Nibbana. So, whereas the 7 factors of enlightenment, they lead us to Nibbana. Now, the other day we read that the 7 factors of enlightenment, when you develop all the 7 factors, they lead you progressively from the first jhana to the second jhana to the 4th jhana. Only when you attain the 4th jhana do you attain the last factor of this last enlightenment factor, which is called upekkha, equanimity. And spiritual equanimity, in the sutta we read earlier, refers to the 4th jhana. Only when you attain the 4th jhana do you have spiritual equanimity. So from here, when you can compare these two, you realize why in the Majjhima Nikaya, when Venerable Ananda was asked what type of meditation is praised by the Buddha, what type of meditation is not praised by the Buddha, Venerable Ananda said, the type of meditation praised by the Buddha is the first jhana, second jhana, third jhana, 4th jhana. So when you develop the 7 factors of enlightenment, you are actually developing these 4 jhanas. And the type of meditation not praised by the Buddha is the type of meditation where the 5 hindrances are not eliminated. So like nowadays, people teach Vipassana meditation, although it's useful for people to understand themselves. But when you practice pure Vipassana meditation, you don't get rid of the 5 hindrances. So when you don't get rid of the 5 hindrances, you are still blinded. You are still here. The sutta says you have lack of vision, lack of knowledge. You are being led away from Nibbana. So in that sense, the pure Vipassana meditation does not lead you to Nibbana at all. They give you understanding of your own mind, of yourself, but definitely they cannot lead you to enlightenment. Only when you practice the 7 factors of enlightenment and attain all the 7 factors, which means you have attained the 4 jhanas, then you are rid of the 5 hindrances, and that will lead you to Nibbana. So any meditation where the 5 hindrances are not got rid of, that is definitely not Buddhist meditation. Buddhist meditation is only one type stated by Venerable Ananda in the Majjhima Nikaya. First jhana, second jhana, third jhana, 4th jhana, only then. Now we come to the next sutta, is 46.51. This is a very important sutta, and half of it was in the Sutta 46.2. I mentioned earlier that the 46.2 is very important, but I said I will not read it because all of it is contained in this Sutta 46.51. And this 46.51 is much more than the 46.2. Okay, at Savatthi, Monks, the Buddha said, I will teach you the nutriment and the de-nourishment in regard to the 5 hindrances and the 7 factors of enlightenment. Stop here for a moment. Nutriments means the food. Food for the 5 hindrances or the 7 factors of enlightenment. That means the conditions to nourish these 5 hindrances or the 7 factors of enlightenment. And conversely, de-nourishment means that which weakens the 5 hindrances or the 7 factors of enlightenment. Okay. And what, monks, is the nutriment for the arising of unarisen sensual desire and for the increase and expansion of arisen sensual desire? There is, monks, the sign of the beautiful Sukha Nimitta. Frequently giving careless attention to it is the nutriment for the arising of unarisen sensual desire and for the increase and expansion of arisen sensual desire. Stop here for a moment to explain. So, when we see something, if we pay attention, then it may strike us as beautiful or attractive, especially like the opposite sex. So, if we pay attention to that sign, the sign of beauty in that body, in that being, then lust arises. Lust is sensual desire. So that is why we read earlier in the Suttas on the 6 sense basis that when we are attracted by sights, sounds, smells, taste, touch, and thoughts, that we should be very careful not to pay attention to the signs and the details. In other words, we just know and don't go and observe too closely. You observe too closely, then either you see it as attractive or repulsive. If it's attractive, then sensual desire increases. If it's repulsive, after we come to see anger arises, ill will. So from here you can understand why in the earlier suttas we said that it was said that don't pay too much attention to the signs and features. And what, monks, is the nutriment for the arising of unarisen ill will and for the increase and expansion of arisen ill will? There is, monks, the sign of the repulsive patigha nimitta. Frequently giving careless attention to it is the nutriment for the arising of unarisen ill will and for the increase and expansion of arisen ill will. So this one, stop here to explain. Sign of the repulsive, something that is repulsive, something that is obnoxious, that you don't like. So if you are not careful, when that feeling arises or that perception arises, you are not careful about it, then the ill will arises. I'll give an example. A lot of young people are very vain about their beauty or their handsomeness and all that. So when they see somebody old, with wrinkled skin and almost few teeth left, white hair or not much hair left, and crooked, hunchback and all that, skin blotchy and all that. Then when they see, they feel repulsiveness. They don't like, they look down on that old man or the old lady. But they forget one day they're going to be exactly like that old man or the old lady. So this is what is meant by careless attention. That's why it's very important to look at our mind all the time. The states that come up in our mind, desire or ill will, repulsion and all this. So only when we keep observing our mind that we can know whether we have wholesome states or unwholesome states, and then only we can change our character Otherwise you can never change. So that's the sign of the repulsive. And what monks is the nutriment for the arising of unarisen sloth and torpor, and for the increase and expansion of arisen sloth and torpor. There are monks, discontent, lethargy, lazy stretching, drowsiness after meals, sluggishness of mind. Frequently giving careless attention to them is the nutriment for the arising of unarisen sloth and torpor, and for the increase and expansion of arisen sloth and torpor. I'll stop here for a while. This sloth and torpor consists of two things. One is sloth. Sloth is like lethargy, like no desire to do anything, laziness. And torpor is what we call blur. The mind is blur. Cannot see clearly, cannot understand clearly. So it mentions drowsiness after meals. If we take a heavy meal, it's very natural. After heavy meal, all the blood goes to your stomach. You feel sleepy. And when you feel lazy and sleepy, actually it's trying to hypnotize you. This laziness and sleepiness is trying to hypnotize you. And most of us, we are hypnotized by the laziness and sleepiness. When we have that feeling, and then if we are not careful, we believe very sleepy. So you tend to want to sleep. So that is careless attention to this sloth and torpor. So sloth and torpor would increase if we are not careful, when we have this sluggishness of mind and this lethargy. And what monks is the nutriment for the arising of unarisen restlessness and remorse, and for the increase and expansion of arisen restlessness and remorse. There is monks, unsettledness of mind, frequently giving careless attention to it, is the nutriment for the arising of unarisen restlessness and remorse, and for the increase and expansion of arisen restlessness and remorse. So when this unsettledness of mind, the mind is disturbed, cannot settle down, and then if we give in to it, we believe it, so that means we are not giving careful attention to it, and then this restlessness and remorse increases. And what monks is the nutriment for the arising of unarisen doubt, and for the increase and expansion of arisen doubt. There are monks, things that are the basis for doubt. Frequently giving careless attention to them is the nutriment for the arising of unarisen doubt, and for the increase and expansion of arisen doubt. Suppose you have something that gives you doubt, and you are unable to give careful attention to it, then this doubt increases. And the reason why we are unable to give careful attention to it is because our mind is not very clear. Our mind is have all these five hindrances, and we are blur most of the time. So this doubt arises when we have to make a decision. For example, you want to do something, and you have a few options, A, B, C, D, and your mind is not very clear. You have a lot of doubt now. Is A better, or B better, or C better, or D better? And you cannot see clearly. The only way you can see clearly, that means have yoniso manasikara, careful attention or careful consideration, is a clear mind. That's why it's important to get rid of these five hindrances. Now, the next set, the nutriments for the enlightenment factors. And what monks is the nutriment for the arising of the unarisen enlightenment factor of recollection, sati, and for the fulfillment by development of the arisen enlightenment factor of